Hey crafty friends, Kim from Stamping Imperfection. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm actually just doing some tag making, and I'm loving this little Light the Year stamp set. I've been playing quite a bit with it the last couple of days. I have actually another video with a card that I absolutely adore, so you'll see that in a day or two if you haven't already seen it. And I'm playing with tags. This is a stamp set. I love this stamp set. I did actually splurge and get the coordinating die set. It's got a couple little extra dies here for little sprigs like this. That's one of them. I didn't use this one. It's got an extra die for little berries, and then it's got dies for all the bits except for these. This one you do have to fussy cut. Which is easy enough to do. And then it's got some pretty great sentiments. So I really have been enjoying this. And I thought I would share with you how I'm making this tag. So the other products I'm using here are, I'm using the, what is it, Greetings of the Season dies. I'm specifically using this die right here. I created my tags. I already stamped everything and ran everything through my little cut and emboss machine. So I've got my piles of stuff all ready to go. I also pulled out this set of sequins. These are neutral adhesive back sequins. I liked that I got a variety of color. I thought I could use some of these for fall, and I think gold and silver are always perfect for the holiday season. So I also have my black and very vanilla large check ribbon. So I really like this. I think as soon as I saw this, I knew that I was going to use it at holiday time for tags, and I really like the touch that it adds. It adds a homey feel to the card, so I actually really like that. I did stamp my lanterns, and there are two different lanterns. This is the smaller of the two lanterns. I stamped the lantern itself in the early espresso, and you can see that it's one of those kind of distressed looking stamped images. I love that. I also stamped the candle in cherry cobbler, and I'm actually going to add some color to these so that my candles all look like they're lit. So I've got dark daffodil delight. I'm just coloring inside the flame on all of these. And then I've got lemon lolly, and this looks like I grabbed the light. I'm just going to kind of do glow around the outside of this, and I realized last night when I was playing with the card that I was making that I liked a bigger glow. So I'm just going to make that kind of a nice big glow there. And this is a perfect craft, by the way, for tag making. Is a perfect craft for your scraps. All of these tags were made with scraps of white cardstock. All of this stuff was stamped with scraps of cardstock. I did die cut out some garden green little leafy sprigs here. I did these bits, I fussy cut these out since there's no die for it, and I stamped these in Old Olive and Mossy Meadow. The bows are cherry cobbler. This is wild wheat, and this is a two-step stamp. I used wild wheat for both. And then this is pecan pie, and again I used the pecan pie for both of those. And this is a two-step stamp as well. So there we go. So let me show you how I put this together. I started with a tag. I'm still trying to decide whether I like the bow at the top of the tag. I'm not sure that I do. I think this one I'll just tie a knot. I'm going to take a piece of this ribbon, and I'm just going to glue it on. So I just ran a line of glue along the edge. Whoops, I don't want too much. I don't want it squishing out all over the place. And then I'm just going to put this ribbon down. And so I just put the ribbon down, and I did overhang it a little on the edge on the right hand edge here because I wasn't sure how far off that would stick. And then I just came over here and just trimmed it along the edge of the tag, just like that. So I've got that on there, and I'll do the other part of the ribbon last. So for the next part I did use my glue dots, and I started with one of these. I was just trying to get a different, I did on the card I made last night, I actually made this a mossy meadow, and that was actually quite a nice color to do that in. So I'm putting a glue dot on the front of this, and then I'm going to take one of these and kind of just stick it on there, just overlap it a little, and I'll take one of these and kind of put that under, and it's going to also need a glue dot. So I'm just going to kind of layer these together and make sure it looks appealing to me. And I'm going to take another one of these and put it over here like that, and then I'm going to put a glue dot on the front of all of this and attach it to one of these. And I kind of want this to be underneath a little bit and off to the side, just like that. And I'm going to add a pine cone here, and I'll just put a glue dot on the bottom of it on the back and just kind of tuck that in also. Just like that. And there we go. And I'll flip this over, and I'm going to put some of these Stampin' Dimensionals on the back, and I'm trying to use up, I have a whole bunch of sheets here. Some of these are actually leftover paper pumpkin pieces, and it'll be good to use these up because I feel like they're all over my desk. So I'm going to put some glue dots, or some Stampin' Dimensionals here. Just like that. And then I'll just take the backings off, and I can attach this. And I'll probably, hopefully, have some leftover bits here. So those will go on. I want to make a scrapbook layout with this. I've got some leftover Country Woods paper I thought would be really pretty as a background for a scrapbook layout with this paper, or with this stamp set. I've got my cherry cobbler. I want to add my sentiment, and I'm just going to test to make sure this sentiment will fit in the space that I have, and I think it will. Okay, and I'm just going to hold this on here for a minute to make sure the ink has time to soak in. There we go. You can stamp that first and build your little scene around that if you want to. I'm going to add a glue dot on the back of one of these bows and just put that here. And then I'm going to add some of these sequins. You can add any of the colors here that you like. I like this, that I got 4 different options here. So I'll add these around this. Like that, just a little visual triangle there. And then I think I'm just going to add a little piece of ribbon, and that will be that. So basically, need to poke this through. I'm going to use my take-a-pick tool here to facilitate that going through that hole. And I think if I just do a little knot here, I'll probably use less ribbon this way, because I have a few projects I want to use this on. And this is just then going to get attached to a gift. There we go. Oh, I like that so much better than the bow. First of all, it's easier just to knot something. And it doesn't cover up the whole top. It just gives a little detail there. I do like the placement of my sentiment better on this one, but you know, it's handmade. They're not going to be perfect. So I think I'm going to just tie a knot in this one too. I like this much better. There we go. There we go. Super easy. I'm going to go ahead and make a few more of these. So far out of the Light of the Year, I keep calling it Light of the Year, it's called Light the Year stamp set. I made this card, which I adore, and I really like this card. It's very heavy though with all these layers. That is definitely going to cost extra to send. And I've made 5 of these little tags, which I love. So I'm excited. These are going to look pretty on packages. And I have some leftovers, so I wanted to make another card. So I've got these left over, and I'm going to do the same layers that I did. Card base 4 1/4 by 11. I scored and I'm folding it at 5 1/2. Cherry cobbler layer cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Now I have all of the instructions on a really nice printable that I made. I'm actually quite proud of my printables because I'm finally learning how to use Publisher instead of just Word, and I think that it's actually a little nicer for creating the class handouts or the freebies that I like to include. But this is not going to be a freebie. You can get this class handout, this class to go, so to say, which is just going to be the PDF right now. I'm thinking about after Christmas making classes to go where I can actually send you all the papers, all the pre-cut papers that you need, and you know, a little kit of supplies to create the cards in my classes. So I think I might start doing that in 2025 and see how that goes. I'll try it for a little while and see how it works out. Okay, so I'm adding a piece of white cardstock. I felt like, because I wanted a layer of black, but I felt like it was a lot right next to that cherry cobbler, and it kind of faded into the cherry cobbler. The white is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and then I have a piece of the basic black, and this is cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I'm just layering these all on top, and it's so pretty. It's a really heavy card, I'm not gonna lie. And then my final piece is this piece of Country Woods Designer Series paper. This is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And I just think for a special Christmas card for someone special, you can add some layers and add extra postage, and they'll end up with a beautiful card. Alright, so on the inside of this, I am going to add a piece of cardstock, and I have this one cut. This is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to, you notice I'm just using my liquid glue, and I really like the edges to be really adhered down. I think it looks more professional when you do that, so I'm I've put the glue pretty close to the edge, but not so close that it's going to squish out, because I don't like to look at dried glue on the outside of my cards. And if that happens, grab your adhesive eraser, which I hope you have in your stash, and fix it. Now I am going to add a little bit of a, I've been putting the bows on the inside. I actually really like the bow on the inside. I think it's a pretty little touch, and it's quick and easy to do, but a little something on the inside and a little something on the envelope. So I will probably do either a lantern, the small lantern on the envelope, or I will do a bow on the envelope as well. Although I suppose a pine cone or two would be fun, but those pine cones are challenging. Whew, super challenging to actually get stamped nicely. That's the only thing about a two-step stamp. Sometimes they're a little bit tricky. Now, I keep doing that every time I close that cherry cobbler. The nice thing about the ink pads, when you first get them, they're a challenge to open. Whew, holy cow, especially if you have sore hands. And once you've used them a few times, they loosen up nicely. So there's my card base. I love the little peak of color around all the edges, and I love this color combination. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's perfection with this stamp set. So I do need to create a little bit more greenery. I really like when you have like a lot of greenery around things like this. I think it looks really nice. I love this ribbon also. I think that's a beautiful touch for a holiday card. So I'm going to do a couple of these, and I've been calling these greenery swag. And on the tag I did these in Wild Wheat, and I've been doing them in Mossy Meadow on my card. So I also want to add, oops, I already added the candle, and inside the candle I used my Stampin' Blends Daffodil Delight, and then around that candle flame I used Lemon Lolly, but I could have used more of the Daffodil Delight. I love this sentiment, wishing you peace, joy, and light. So I like that. I've already got 2 bows, which is one more that I'm going to need. I've got a couple of these little die cut, these are garden green. I had a scrap of garden green, so I have a couple extra of those. And that's this extra little die that you get that doesn't have a coordinating piece in the stamp set. I love that they do that. I've got 2 nicely done pine cones. Those are pecan pie. And of course my lantern is early espresso with a cherry cobbler candle. And do I want to do anything else? I think I want to do a couple of these because I think these are also really nice to add in there. So let me grab a couple more blocks. And it's nice to have a bunch of blocks when you're, stamping something like this. Now, the only sentiment I haven't used is sending love and light this time of year, and maybe I'll pull that out too. Maybe I'll want to do this. I could always put that on the inside. If I don't use it on the outside, I'll decide that when the time comes. And you know what? I'm going to just drop that down like this and then pick it up so that I don't accidentally curve it as I put it on. Alright, so I'm going to stamp this stuff and die cut it out. Now, one thing I do want to show you is sometimes I don't always get my dies on there straight, or the die seems to slide a little bit when I drop the top plate down on it. So I have this crooked and I don't love it that way. I do like a little white around it, so I don't want to cut it all off, but I'm just going to fussy cut around here a little bit and trim off the excess on this side, because an excess on this side means there's less on the other side, and I don't like this big hunk of white over here on this side, and I'm going to get pretty close to this little the part you hook over the hook to hang it, because there's not much on the other side, and I want to just straighten it. I did it a little choppy. Like, I like to have a nice smooth curve there when I'm cutting, so you know, I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, and I'm going to just take a little bit more off this part because it's kind of wide compared to everything else, and then the same thing down here. So I'm just going to trim this up and make it look a little bit more even. It's not perfect. It doesn't matter that it's not perfect. It's a handmade card. I'm not super fussy, but that does bother me. And plus, if I send it to someone who is super fussy, then I don't want to have to feel bad about that. So I actually have been experimenting with this one greenery bit here, and I've been trying a combination of Old Olive and Mossy Meadow, and I'm thinking that I actually really do like the Old Olive a little bit better than the Mossy Meadow for this. I don't know why. You have to actually, I like to have a combination of greens. I like to have a little bit of a yellow green somewhere on my project when I'm making it. And when you stamp the second one, I mean, this might not be a two-step stamp. Maybe these are just two separate ones. But when I stamp them together, they look really full, and I like them. So I'm doing these as if they are a two-step stamp. Okay, so I don't need the bow. Now I want to do a couple of these. I'm just going to do 2 of those. I'm just going to use one lantern on this. And then for this one, I think I do want to go back and do the Mossy Meadow on this one. So I always start with the one that looks like it's less detailed here. And I'm going to give that a stamp here. One of the things I've learned is to take my time stamping. I'm happier with the results when I take my time, and I'm just going to turn this and, you know, making sure my stamp is inked up, and I'm lining up the stem and the needles or the leaves that are at this end on the stem end, and everything else seems to fall into place. And you can see it does make a little bit of a difference. It makes it just look a little bit fuller when you add that. So let me do this one more time. And I'm taking my time once I have the stamp on the paper, just holding it in place so that the ink has time to actually soak in. I think that's one of the mistakes I sometimes make, is that I'm just too quick to lift it up. And okay, I still have my cherry cobbler out because that's what I want to do with my sentiment. I'm going to cut these 2 with my little cut and emboss machine. So let me pull this out. I love having this little cut and emboss machine. I actually find this one a little bit more of a challenge to use than the larger one because it seems to be more sensitive to the thickness of the dies. And I remember once a long time ago, like 5 years ago, I was taking a class at another stamp company, not Stampin' Up, and the woman said that when you do photopolymer and acrylic stamps, sometimes the chemical might not be perfectly level, and the stamps can have some low spots, so you have to be aware of that when you're stamping your stuff, which is why it's nice to have that paper pierce mat which I have somewhere. Here it is. So when I have a stamp that sometimes I have trouble stamping, I use this and it takes care of it. And so that's a really nice thing to have. But there's also, I think, inconsistencies with the dies, because this machine says to use this white plate, plate number 1, and the 2 clear cutting pads, plates number 2. But I have found that I need to use this plate, which is actually an embossing plate, excuse me, instead of the white one. So I'm just going to trim this. So that's one of my tips if you're having trouble. Like sometimes I have trouble getting this little machine to pull the stuff through. So I switched to this plate instead of the other one, and it works beautifully. And then I'll put that plate on, and now it works perfectly. If I had tried to use the white plate, and I only know this because I've already cut the materials for 5 tags and a card, so I know which plate I need to use for this set. So I'm going to cut the second one, and I always use, I've also learned that I do a better job die cutting when I tape my things down, because no matter how careful I think I'm being, boy, those things slide just a little bit, and it's not just this die cutter, it's every one I've ever used. So I always have either old washi tape, or here I'm using some low-tack masking tape. Okay, so I can get rid of this. Now, here's another habit that you need to form. You need to immediately, I still have this die in my hand, I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to put it immediately back. If you don't do that, you will lose them. Another nice thing to do is to go ahead at this point and clean up your desk a little. So I will cut this out so you don't have to watch me clean up my desk. But I'm going to clean my stamps and put them back in the case. The last thing I'm going to do is fussy cut these out, and I already kind of showed doing this with the first card I made. So again, I'm going to forward past this for you so you don't have to watch it again. Alright, so when I bring my card base back out, I always check and make sure that I have the fold going in the right direction. And I'm thinking that I want to build my little scene down here around this way a little bit this time, and I want to have this room for my sentiment. Actually, I think I will try to use this sentiment right here. I am going to pull out I have this little T-square ruler that I got quite a while ago, and I kind of just want to put this here to help me make sure I get this straight-ish. Hopefully it'll help. And if I mess it up, I'll just make a white tag to cover that up. So it might look nice if I'm doing it here to nestle this in. Maybe I'll do my sentiment last. We'll see. But that's my plan. So I'm going to close this back up. I'm so messy with red. It's crazy. So I'm going to put some dimensionals. I'm going to add these all with liquid glue, because I can always make more pieces if I need them, right? That's what I keep telling myself. So if you get this class and you decide you want to make all of these, you could do your stamping and die cutting all at one time instead of individually for each project. I'm designing these one at a time, so I'm actually ending up doing mine one at a time. But if you're, you know, if you've got a whole project sheet in front of you, you can actually die cut, because in the instructions I'll tell you exactly how many of each thing you need and what colors you need to use. Alright, so we'll do that. Now I've got these greenery bits also. I feel like they just add a little something extra. That was the wrong side. Almost put the glue on the wrong side. Now these have a spot where you could actually add some, they like have little berry bits. You could actually add some red, what is that stuff called? Like the red drops, the glue, the tinted glue stuff. I forget what Stampin' Up calls it. But it's the stuff you squeeze out and make your own drops. And that would actually be a nice little touch here. So I'm going to add that. I just like the variety of greens when I do this. I'm also going to add a dimensional to the back of each pine cone. Okay, and I want a pine cone up here, and I want a pine cone down here or up here. I could just put the cherry red bow here, but I really do like that cherry red bow on top of the lantern, so I'm going to put that up. And I am putting this on a dimensional also. Now if you wanted more greens to go up the side of your card, you could absolutely do this. So I can have this here, which feels like it balances a little bit better than I think this will feel. So I think I'm going to use this one. I just like the shape of this here, and I am going to add some sequins, and I am going to add a checkered bow to this also, but I think first I'll do my stamping. So I've got all my weight over there, so I feel like if I bring a little weight up here, that will work nicely. There we go. Okay, and time for a bow. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little tiny bow here. So I've made this a little bit smaller on purpose. And I think I'm going to add that right there. And I like to add my bows with a glue dot. I feel like the glue dots really stick. Now, bows do add to the cost of mailing your things, but a lot of times I'll tuck the card in with the gift in a box, so that works out really well. So that is my black and very vanilla large checkered ribbon, and I can add some red in here now. So I do love these little you could add something other than red if you wanted to. I'm going to add them outside the greenery because I felt like on the first card they really blended in with the greenery. So there we go. There we go. You could add more if you want more. You could add the set of 3 if you wanted to. And I actually think those are separate, so that works too. So that's going to be my third and final card. So I've got 2 cards, and oof, what am I giving you that for? I've got 2 cards, and I've got a bunch of tags. I've got a whole pile of tags here. I actually made 5 tags. So you could make more tags if you wanted to, just like that. But I love it when I can spend an afternoon or two just playing with one single stamp set and die set, along with, like, I bought this Greetings of the Season stamp and die set. I want to just keep pulling that out over and over again for, you know, the holiday season, because it's got a whole bunch of different dies in it. It's pretty fantastic. And the more I use it, the more I feel like I got for my money. So I feel like I'm really getting my money's worth out of supplies when I use them like this. I make a whole set of something, or I make, you know, I'll make more of these cards because I still have enough paper here probably to make at least 4 more cards, and I'll probably go ahead and do that, and maybe I'll even make some more tags, but change up my design, like make my second tag a different design. So if you would like this PDF, you can make a purchase in my online store of $35 or more, and I will send you this printable class to go so you can use your supplies. Now also please keep in mind, if you don't have the Light the Year and you have no plans to buy it, but you like the card layouts and you would like the dimensions and stuff of the different cards, or you like the color combination or something like that, and you want to add that PDF to your you know, your PDF library, you can certainly do that and use whatever you have, because you have things like, say you bought that sled, that gorgeous sophisticated sled stamp set. This layout and this layout would work beautifully with the sled as well, or the Christmas trees. Like there's several stamp sets with the evergreens. You can actually use those also to you know, put your evergreens here, put your evergreens in the center, up on a, you know, a hill, or in, you know, just a square. You can certainly make tags in this layout. So if you picture something round here, something round here, and then a sentiment box, you know, that's essentially what you're looking at. So imagine how you would make a card sketch of this, and then you can build your scenes. So I'm a huge fan of scene building, and to me these are scene building cards, as is the sophisticated sled or anything with the trees for the holidays. So have fun with it, friends. Take 1 or 2 card designs that you can adapt and add your own flair with whatever stamp and die sets you have in your stash. So again, if you would like the printables with all the measurements and everything, the supply list, I tell you all the colors that I've used for each thing. If you would like that, just you can make a purchase in my online store between now and November 15th, and I will send you this class for free. So thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you find time to be creative today. I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up, and if you subscribe to my channel. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you click that bell to get notifications every time I upload a new video. And if you do want to shop for Stampin' Up! Supplies with me, you can do that at shopwithkim.net. Thanks for watching, friends. Have a fantastic day.